Hey, what's up, YouTube? TJ Lawton here. And today I got a bit of a different video, just going to talk face to face to camera and go into some philosophy and some ideas. Uh, Yesterday I got this DM from a subscriber of Black Type's name and stuff like that. So he says, "Hey man, I noticed you're on here more than other platform, so that's why he's messaging me on Instagram. I have a habit I can't seem to shake. I keep jumping from door to door with half-finished tracks that I'm never happy with. Can you offer any advice to break a habit? Thanks." So I mean, I think he means in this particular case, this particular habit. So it's an interesting question, and it's obviously a problem I think everybody goes through. It can be like, some sort of creative block or resistance and stuff like that. So let's start with what he's saying here. I'm never happy with. What I understand this as is something in creative pursuits called the gap. And the gap is where you know what you want your creative endeavor or your music to sound like. You want it to sound really awesome, like the people that you listen to, your favorite artists. However, you haven't got to that point yet, right? There's like, they say you need 10,000 hours to master. Like you've probably done like 2,000 hours or something, and then the people that, are making the music you want to make have done 10,000 hours. So there's this gap, right? You need to do another 8,000 hours before you start making music you're going to be maybe really happy with. So this is a problem. You're like, well, maybe I don't have 8,000 hours and stuff like that. Well, unfortunately, that's kind of how it's going to work. If you want to make music that you're truly like, this is as good as my heroes, that's what's going to take. Obviously, don't like leading from that, I would say don't compare yourself to others. Like just focus on, are you doing better than you were last week? Listen to the music you were doing, say, 6 months ago and be like, is the music I'm doing now better? Is it produced better? Is it more interesting? Have I improved? I think that's a much better way to go about it. And that will help you stay on track whilst closing that gap. Now he says also he's jumping from door to door. Now this sounds like shiny object syndrome or SOS. So shiny object syndrome is sort of the belief that the reason why you're not getting the results you want is because you've not got the right tools. You're like, oh, I need a different door, I need a different synthesizer, I need a different template, I need different samples, I need different plugins and all this, and you just got shiny object syndrome, thinking that thing is going to help me finally get through that. And that's not the thing. It's not how it works at all. In fact, that's a form of like procrastination manifesting. It's sort of like, instead of writing the music, you're sort of just jumping from different tools and stuff like that. So you really have to understand that that's a form of procrastination, is a form of resistance, and you're sort of trying to avoid making music. And the reason why you're probably trying to avoid making music is because you don't want to be disappointed. Going over those two things, so if you break the shiny object syndrome and you understand the gap, and it's going to take you another 8,000 hours before you're making truly amazing music. The way I like to think about this is like in RPG games such as like World of Warcraft or The Witcher or something like that, and you need experience points to level up. Now in these games there's like quests, right? And you can kill monsters and you get like a little bit of XP, but if you kill so if you do quests, you get like a huge chunk of XP and you level up, which is much faster than just killing boars in the forest over and over, for example. So you really need to be finishing tracks, even if they're dog shit. Like you really need to be like finishing tracks almost every day, even if they're crap. It's a very subjective thing because some people might finish a track and it's crap. Like most people say this is crap, but they might think it's the best thing they've ever written, right? And they're excited. And some people might make masterful music, it's amazing, and be like, yeah, this is shit. So it's all in your mind, right? You have to understand that, and you don't compare yourself to others and trick yourself. So anyway, going back to the experience points analogy, and you have to level up. The best way to do that is to finish music, because that's like finishing quests, and you'll get like a level up for every time you finish a piece of music. That's the quickest way to get better. But finishing 8 bars is not really going to do the trick. So I've written down in a Word document some different challenges and different functions you can do in order to make sure you finish tracks. Because once you start finishing tracks, you're like, okay, I'm finishing tracks, they're shit, but I'm finishing stuff. And then you can just trust the process that you're going to get better. So the first one, and this has been by far the best one for me, is the 30-day challenge. So the 30-day challenge is every day you sit down for extended period of time, like a 2 to 4 hour session. It has to be a single session. Don't come back to it unless there's an emergency, like your kids falling down the stairs or something. God forbid that happens, but if life happens, right? You want to be able to sit down every day and write something start to finish. Even if it's crap, even if you write a chord progression, you're like, this, it's cheesy. You write a melody like this, it's really basic and simple, and your drums are not very groovy. Whatever, who cares? And don't worry about mixing. Don't worry about sound design. Just focus on creating a 6-minute track. You've got an intro, you got all the stuff in between, and then you've got an outro. And then you can be like, yes, okay, I've got a demo. And then you can look back at it and be like, right, how can I improve this? Because then you've got something. You actually got like scaffolding, right? You've got like an architecture, and then you can start filling in the gaps. But that's so much more. It's so much more important to do that, because like imagine you were building a building and you were building like a 5-story tall building, and the construction workers built the first and the second floor, and then they just start furnishing it and putting offices and putting people to work in it. And I said, well, you haven't finished floors 3, 4, and 5. It gets incredibly difficult to finish those floors now that there's people working on the other 2 floors. And this is the same thing of like, you build like half a track that's like 2 or 3 minutes long, and you start mixing it and doing all the sound design. It's kind of like, well, what about the other 4 minutes that you need to write? You need to do that first all the time. Like I would say, you always have to do that first. Then worry about sound design and mixing and stuff like that. So the 30-day challenge works by, I would always do it after lunch. So I'd do my morning routine, I'd have my lunch, and then I sit down at the computer, and I'd feel resistance. I'd be like, oh, I really don't want to do this. But I'd be like, I'm going to do it. And the reason why I make myself do it is because of accountability. So going on this one here, what I would do is I would tell my housemate, hey, it's £500 in an envelope, it's sealed, don't open it. But I'm going to write a song every day, and if I don't send you a demo before midnight every day for the next 30 days, you keep the money. So what happens is then is if I don't send him a demo every day, he keeps the £500 in the envelope. And trust me, you're not going to let that £500 slip. So you're going to make a track every day, even if it's dog shit, and you're going to level up much faster by doing that. And setting deadlines obviously is like a same sort of thing. Like there's a weird thing in the brain where if you set deadlines, you'll do stuff. It's like, we've all done it like coursework or exams, or have some sort of deadline for school. We've got 6 weeks to do it. We don't do anything for the first 5 weeks, and then we get it all done in that week because our brain's like, this needs to be done because we've set a deadline. So write down your deadlines, like write down something on pen and paper, or have like an online sort of checklist, and just say like, right, and just have like song a day, like do your song a day challenge, write a song today, and then just like make it very clear that if you don't, you're going to lose that that £500 or whatever you put on stake. Another really good way is limitation challenges. So this might be something like, I'm only going to use 8 channels inside my DAW, and you're going to think of really creative ways, because limitation challenges are going to make you think creatively. It's going to put you in a small box and be like, okay, what can I do with this box? Because there definitely is a problem when you have unlimited capabilities and unlimited assets and samples and sound banks and all that you could go in any direction, and it's just like, it's very overwhelming without you realizing it, and you end up not making anything, or you're making like very fragmented ideas. One thing I like to do is like download a sample pack off Splice and be like, right, I'm gonna make a song only using the sample pack, and I'll make sure to find something that has like only a few samples in it, so I'm very, very limited. Another thing you could do is like, only 8 channels, maybe only 4 channels. What I've done with my friend is like, I'll send him 5 samples. He'll send me 5 samples, completely random samples. Could be just stuff he just ripped out of YouTube videos. It could be like actual drums or something. And he'd be like, make a song with this. And that's a lot of fun, because you really get pushed to like, what can I possibly do with this? I don't have Serum, I don't have Diva, I don't have all my plugins. Well, I can use my plugins, I just can't use soft sims. I can only use the samples. And you come up with some really interesting things. And it's really fun to then send it back to your friend and be like, yeah, this is what I made. And 30-day challenge is probably the best one to do. And a good analogy I like to use with this is like, it's like you ever seen like a tap, like a really old tap that's not been turned on in a while. And when you turn it, like nothing happens for a bit, and then it starts like spitting out dust, like, and then eventually like splurts of like dirty water come out. And then eventually, after a few seconds, it rattles a bit, and then clean water starts flowing, right? And it's kind of like this with the 30-day challenge and just like writing music in general. The first few songs you're going to write, if you stick to writing a song every day, a full demo, like a full 5-6 minute track every day, assuming you're making like house music or techno or something. If you're making like pop music, you probably, you're making 3-minute tracks or something. But what's going to happen then is like, after the first few days, You're just gonna make like, you know, the tap's gonna turn on. It's gonna like nothing's really gonna come out. You're gonna make a really shit track, and then the second day, a bit more's gonna be there, but it's gonna be quite crap. And then by day five, I promise you, you're going to see some good results. You're going to be like, wow, actually, I can't believe I just made this track in like 2, 3 hours. It sounds amazing. Like, and then the next day, you're like, well, it's even better, even better, and better. When I do these 30-song challenges, I find like by halfway through the month, like day 15, I'm making like music. I'm like, I can't wait to release this. This is sick. And it goes on and on and on. But some days I just don't feel like making music, but I still force myself to do it. I just do it. I just go, right, okay, whatever. Just put the drums together, put the bass line together, write a shit melody, blah, blah, blah. Like, just as long as you finish. It's okay to be shit. Don't worry about that gap I told you about earlier. Like, don't worry about making this masterpiece. Just say, like, right, just finish. Because getting the quest done is more important than getting, like, than doing it optimally or perfect or something like that. Because it's all a very subjective thing. And that leads on to another point, actually, on my down here, which is focus on what you can control. You can't control if you write a banger. You can't control if you write a masterpiece. That's obvious. But you can you can control showing up every day. You can sit at your computer and make music 2, 3, 4 hours every day if you're dedicated. You can control that. You can control finishing tracks. That's something that's in your control. What you can't control is if it sounds good. What you can't control is if people will like it. What you can't control is if a label will sign it. You can't control if DJs will play it. Can't focus, so you don't focus on that. Just focus on finishing, and don't focus on comparing yourself to other artists. Just focus on what you can control and focus on what you can do, and then you're going to have a lot more productivity, I guarantee you. Okay, so that's all my tips and philosophies around how to finish tracks. I hope this helps. If there's any questions, just let me know in the comments. Please like and subscribe, and yeah, let me know what you think. Cheers. Bye bye.